155 years ago, in 1868, in his cell in Akka in Israel, His Holiness Baha'u'llah wrote to all kings and rulers of the world at the time. These rulers represented the whole world at the time, for some of them have sovereignty over so many countries and vast sections of land, like the Ottoman Empire, the British Commonwealth, to name a few. In Baha'u'llah's letters to these world leaders, he introduced himself as the manifestations of God for today, and he said the fundamental principles of his teaching is the oneness of humanity. And he also said that the divine physician has his finger on the pulse of mankind. He perceiveth the disease and prescribeth in his unerring wisdom the remedy. One of these diseases reared its ugly head a week ago in Israel. The religious fanaticism and hatred as a world-devouring fire, whose violence none can quench. The hand of divine power, His Holiness Baha'u'llah, can alone deliver mankind from this desolating affliction. And for the remedy, it is for them, these world leaders, to put aside their differences and come together in unity and peace and harmony. Regrettably, these leaders reject or ignore the divine physician's exhortation. Abdu'l-Baha exhausted his effort in promoting this theme of oneness of humanity by letters and tablets, as well as in his talks. In one of his talks in America during his travels in America in 1912, he lamented that today the world of humanity is in desperate need of international unity and conciliation. To establish these great fundamental principles, a propelling power is needed. It is self-evident that the unity of humanity and the most great peace cannot be accomplished through material means. It cannot be established through political powers, for political interests of nations are various, and the policies of the people are divergent and conflicting. It cannot be founded on racial and patriotic powers, for these are human powers, selfish and weak. The very nature of racial differences and patriotic prejudices prevent the realization of this unity and agreement. Therefore, the promotion of the oneness of the kingdom of humanity, which is the essence of the teachings of all the prophets and manifestations of God, is impossible except through the divine power and breath of the Holy Spirit. All other powers are too weak, incapable of accomplishing this unity and agreement. For man, two wings are necessary. One wing is physical power and material civilization. The other is spiritual power and divine civilization. With one wing only, flight is impossible. Two wings are necessary. Therefore, no matter how much of the material civilization of man advance, they cannot attain perfection unless uplifted by divine power and breath of the Holy Spirit. In Abdu'l-Baha's letter to an unofficial peace committee of the League of Nations, which was known as the Committee of the Durable Peace in The Hague in 1919. He explained Baha'u'llah's plan of how the peace should come about, and that is the national assemblies of countries, that is to say the parliament, should select 2 or 3 persons who are the choicest men of their countries and are well informed concerning international laws and relationship between governments and countries, and aware of the essential need of humanity this day. The number of these representatives should be in proportion to the number of the inhabitants of each country, and these elected souls, who are elected by the national assemblies, that is the parliament, should be approved by the upper house, by the Congress, and also by the president and the monarch, so that these representatives are fully representatives of their countries. And from these people is elected a supreme tribunal, and all the countries of the world have a say therein, because each one of these individual delegates are fully representatives of his country. And when the Supreme Tribunal gives a ruling on any international questions, whether unanimously or by majority rules, there will be no longer any pretext for the plaintiff or ground of objection by the defendant. In case any one of these governments or nations, in the execution of the irrefutable decision of the Supreme Tribunal, be negligent or dilatory, the rest of the nations will rise up against it, because all nations and governments of the world are the supporters of this Supreme Tribunal. Consider how firm this plan is. It was regrettable. It was regrettable that the leaders of the world at the time ignore Baha'u'llah's exhortation. Today, the world had never before in need of unity and coming together. And today's world leaders, we hope they will not do the same mistake of ignoring the divine physician exhortation, who knows all the sickness of the world, and he prescribes the remedy to heal the sickness of mankind. Thank you, and I wish you well. Whaftailava, manuela whafongfong maimla whasausaunga sa amoa. Soifua.